Welcome to Esoteric Thoughts. Once again, Micah Dank is joining us. Micah, can you talk to us about your journey through and out of religion, starting from your childhood growing up?
Yeah. And into astrotheology, right? Okay. I was raised in a my parents are very religious. I was raised in a very religious Jewish household. Not Orthodox, more conservative. No meat and milk in the house. Went to temple all the time, and it never sat right with me. Ever since I was 9 years old, just everybody screaming in temple, praying to God, it never sat right with me. Um, what happened was when I hit my 20s, I became sort of an atheist when I started reading Sam Harris's End of Christianity and his other book, Letter to a Christian Nation. I kind of became an atheist. I was like, well, this makes sense. And to be perfectly honest with you, I never really took to religion, but it did give me the Hebrew background that I use today to discover patterns in astrotheology because I can read Hebrew. Um, I can, I understand the stories from a Jewish perspective, and I do use that. Um, I think it's important. I had one of my best friends. He's very into my work. Actually, my best friend. He's very into my work, and he has a 6-year-old daughter, and he's putting her through Catholic school. And I asked him, I said, "Why are you doing that when you know this is it?" And he said something that really kind of blew my mind a little bit. And things don't often blow my mind anymore, but he said, you have to give them the background in order for you to explain things later on. Okay. Because my work and other people's work and the kind of stuff that we do doesn't really hit home with atheists as it does with converting people out of religion. Okay. What I tell people that I do is I demystify things and I set you free from fear of the word hell, of Baphomet, of Satan, of Lucifer, of all this stuff. I set you free of that. That's what I do. Okay. So here's what happened. I was living in Boston 10 years ago when I was 28 years old, and I came across a Jordan Maxwell video. Okay. And remember, I had a religious upbringing, and then I was kind of an atheist. And I saw a Jordan Maxwell video where he was talking at one point about the Saturn religion, the Saturn cult, and he was talking about how in the Bible there's a section where the disciples ask Jesus where to find him next, and he's or for the Passover, and he says, "Go into town." He said, "Go into town, and you'll see a man with a water pitcher. Follow him to his house." Now we know that that's Aquarius, and that was the point that he was trying to make. But the other point he made was that it had to be Aquarius they were talking about because men back then wouldn't be caught dead carrying water. It was a very feminine job. It was a female job to carry the water. So that kind of blew my mind. Then I brought this up to one of my friends online, and he sent me a video of Santos Bonacci called "Know Thyself Part 2." And it just tore my universe apart. It tore my universe apart. I started studying this stuff for months and months and months and hours and hours and hours and hours a day. I started studying this. I just put my whole self into it. And at one point I realized I was like, this needs to be shared with the world. And I decided I was going to write a book. I didn't know it was going to be a 9-book series at the time. I didn't know I was going to get a book deal, but I was like, this is so unique. I need to write a book. Well, as I got deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole of what I was talking about, it destroyed my preconceived notions of everything. I saw the religion around me with everybody, and this destroyed everything to the point where I had to be hospitalized for 3 weeks because I had a total mental breakdown over what I had learned. Okay. I had an entire mental breakdown. Now, for people who are so strong in their beliefs, okay, Jordan Peterson says that the pathway to enlightenment is necessitated through a pathway through hell. That's why there's not so many enlightened people. And it's true because you have to have your entire world completely shattered. Okay. So while I'm in this mental hospital, You remember when you were in college and high school and they used to give you the little blue books to write your essays in? That's what they had. And I don't even think we could have pens because you could like hurt yourself with them. So I think I had like a crayon or a highlighter. And what I did was I outlined my first book in the mental hospital. I wrote the whole thing, okay, which became the Into the Rabbit Hole series, or the first book, Beneath the Veil. Okay, so I ended up leaving with like 30, 40 of these notebooks, and I ended up transcribing it. 200 rejections later, with agents and publishing houses. But I never gave up. I had the grit and I never gave up because I knew this was something new. This was something unique. Um, and I have just been studying it ever since. Now, at some point, I started reaching out to the greats in astrotheology, and I reached out to Santos and I sent him my breakdown of Matthew. And he said it's incredibly accurate. He encouraged me to keep going, and I just see the patterns. When I read the Bible, and it's not just the Bible, Eso, because I'm different in that sense. It's also the Sumerian text. It's the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian text. It's the Code of Hammurabi, where we get our laws from. It's the Quran. It's the Bible. It's the Book of Mormon, the Apocrypha, the Colburn Bible. It's the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's all there. This astrotheological cipher that I came up with is in everything. So I had to keep reminding myself that I have something unique here. I have something that possibly nobody has ever seen. And I started building myself up. And then eventually, I'm teaching for Santos now at a syncretism school. I sent Bill Donahue the video that I sent you, and he wrote me back a long letter saying how he loved it. He just told me to slow down. And I got friendly with Jordan Maxwell towards the end. So I know all the greats in the field. And people are just resonating with this, and I have to keep pinching myself. I'm like, I'm not starting a cult, am I? I have to keep doing that. But basically, this was my life's work. If I never saw that video, if I never moved to Boston, if I'd never done any of that, then I'd still be looking for that void. But this is completely filling it. And I completely lost my mind. I was completely dead broke. I had $0 in the bank. I had no job. I was living in Boston, but I had my first book done. And so after editing it and putting it through, eventually I got a book deal, and it's just taken off since there. And that's it. And I like to say that it's okay if this completely shatters your universe. It has to, because you've been lied to your whole life about what the Bible actually is. So, and it's by people who love you. That's the worst part. Okay. It's by people who don't know any better. Okay. So that's basically what keeps me going. So that's basically my story.
Given how you now see things, how do your friends and family view you and what you
My dad thinks
believe?
I'm crazy. My dad thinks I'm crazy. My sister doesn't talk to me. My mother is very esoteric. She's very esoteric, but she's also stuck in her religion. And I have a great relationship with her, but I think I'm just on a different wavelength. That's the thing. As I was when I started doing this, I wanted to, because I don't just do this. I talk about like the corruption and all the issues, and I don't talk politics. I never talk politics. My publicist told me right away, don't talk politics because it'll alienate half your base. And that was the best advice she could have ever given me. I don't talk politics. Okay. So if I talk corruption, it has nothing to do with that. And I have it all in my book series, Into the Rabbit Hole by Micah Dank. It's the chances that two enlightened people are going to be born in the same family is unlikely. Okay. It's unlikely. You tend to be the black sheep. Okay. So we have to go out and find our own tribe. That's what we basically do. And that's what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create a network, of like-minded thinkers.